In this video, we're going to talk about why I would not become a traditional physical therapist again. My hope is that this video is seen by people that are considering the field of physical therapy, for those that are struggling right now and they have become physical therapists. I'm hoping this video gains clarity on what your next moves, what your next steps should be. And I'm hoping this video saves many of you from making a decision that you will more than likely regret. So here's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to talk about the definition of a traditional physical therapist. I'm going to talk about the reasons why I would not do it. It just lines up and adds up to not making financial sense anymore. I'll talk about the few exceptions to the rule, and I'll talk about some alternatives because I love the field of physical therapy. I am a physical therapist by trade. I no longer treat, and I actually let my license lapse at the end of 2024. And there's a reason why. It's because I have no desire to ever treat again. And I don't think it makes sense anymore. December 26, 2000 is when I became a physical therapist. That was when I treated my first patient at an outpatient facility. But things made sense then that don't make sense today. So let's get right into it. All right, let's talk about the definition first of what a traditional physical therapist is. So the definition is this: it is a person qualified to treat injuries or deformities using physical methods such as manual treatments, massage, heat treatments, alternative treatments, maybe dry needling, and exercise rather than using drugs or surgery. Typically, a traditional physical therapist is compensated by a third-party payer. There are certain times that they are not, and it is cash-based services. That is what a traditional physical therapist is. That's what I went to school for. I went to school from 1997 to 2000 at Florida International University. I got a bachelor's degree in physical therapy. Today, it is no longer a bachelor's degree. It is a doctorate of PT degree. I am going to break down for you on my whiteboard why, for the most part, this does not make sense anymore. Okay, and so yeah, let's go ahead and let's do this. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna put I'll put L here, and we'll put a dollar sign. Okay, so let's talk about each area first. All right, so in 2000, when I became a physical therapist, my investment was very minimal, okay? And so I'm gonna put a $1 sign here, all right? And that investment for me was less than 15K, okay? For me to become a physical therapist, right? Now, here's the deal, all right? This is 2000, all right? We'll put over here, I finished school and I became a physical therapist December of 2000. Well, today, in 2025, it is no longer a $15,000 investment, okay? Here, I'll even just say this. For the most part, most schools on the low end, I actually think the low end is University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. And by the way, I got these numbers and I'll put it in the description section. It is through the PTCast, and PTCast directory .apta.org has the numbers of every single school in the United States, what their physical therapy schooling cost. And this is just tuition, okay? This is not books. This is not the fact that most physical therapy programs don't allow you to work with, at least within the first year. Some of them recommend not working throughout the entire program because of internships, et cetera, et cetera. And this is not talking about room and board. But on the low end, University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio, you're looking at about $36,000 to $37,000 tuition investment. Okay, but on the high end, okay, you're looking at schools like the school in Pennsylvania. Is it? I think I'm saying it right. Duquesne, right? And that investment over the course of physical therapy schooling is $206,143. Now, the average physical therapy school investment over a 3.5-year period is this. It is no longer $15,000. It is $142,689. Okay, and I got that through the APTA. All right, that's what it is. $142,000. That's the investment. And so what does that investment equal? It equals you using your time Okay? This is what you're getting for that. You're getting a licensure that's going to allow you to use your time and trade it for dollars. Okay? Now, here's the deal. The dollars that I got, $15,000 investment in 2000, I was able to trade my time 40 to 65 hours per week. That's what I worked as a clinician for dollars. Okay? My job at that time was 39,000. I had a second job. That was my 40-hour week job. I worked about another 15 hours, and I worked another job and made about 15K. Okay, it was an ALF. All right, so this one was an ALF. This one was outpatient. Okay, great. All right, so let's look at the numbers here. $15,000 investment. I'm using a limited resource, which is my time, right? As I get older, that limited resource gets harder and harder to use, okay? And it allowed me to make $39,000 at an outpatient center, $15,000 at an ALF. I was making about $54,000 together with my two jobs, okay? And I was working about 65 hours. Okay, today in 2025, you are investing on average $142,000, which is nearly 10 times more than what I was investing in 2000. Okay, to use that still limited resource, which is me, my time, 40 hours a week, to make what? Okay, well, you're making about $80,000. I think they said 82K. It's very hard to find what the averages are. You see so many different averages depending on which city, this, that, da, da, da. But for the most part, we're looking at about $80,000 to $82,000. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense anymore. And it's not that it doesn't make sense because of what the starting salary is. It's because it doesn't make sense because of what the upside is. Okay? Remember, the definition is a person that's qualified to treat disease, injury, or deformity by physical methods such as manual treatments, massage, heat treatments, alternative treatments, and exercise rather than by drugs or surgery. Compensation is via third-party payers. So let me show you something at the end of this, and that is... this is my return. My return is the money I'm making. Here's the problem. The problem is that, okay, for me, I was making, call it like 60-ish K, okay? Or, I'm sorry, back then I was making like 55K, okay? And then over here today, it's more like, call it 82. Let's just say it's on the higher end. But what is the upside? Like what's the upside? Like, how much more money can you get? Well, remember now, most of us are getting paid by third-party payers. So our third-party payers, like Blue Cross, Aetna, Cigna, Humana, are they going up? Like, are they increasing by 10% year over year? Are they increasing by 5% year over year? Are they increasing by 50% year over year? They're not increasing by any of these year over year. Okay? They're not doing that. So your upside is very little to nothing. You're using a limited resource, which is you, to make money based on usually somebody else deciding what the value is that you are worth in the marketplace. It doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't make sense. And even if you are cash-based, the reality is that you're still succumb to whatever the market wants to pay you. And so I don't see, based on understanding investment, you being the resource, which is a limited resource because it's your physical time, I don't see it making sense anymore for people to get into the field if they're going to do traditional therapy. So what are the exceptions? I do believe that there are a few exceptions, and I mean, really, there's only one if you're going to become a traditional physical therapist, and it's to kind of do what I did, and that is the following, okay? And by the way, you do not need, if you're going to open up PT clinics, you do not need to become a traditional PT, okay? You don't need to, all right? But if you are going to be a traditional PT, it's only with the end in mind that I'm going to own multiple clinics. And here's the reasoning for it. If I own multiple clinics, and I can say this for myself as someone that has owned multiple locations, there was some benefit to me being able to train my staff, understanding the clinical aspect of patients, understanding the billing aspect, and just being able to be a therapist that understood what the other therapists were dealing with, that understood what the physical therapist assistants were dealing with, what the techs were dealing with. And I do think it helped. I don't think it's necessary though. Okay, the majority of physical therapy clinics are not even owned by physical therapists. Okay, you don't need to be one. But if you were like, hey, I'm willing to put in this investment so I can understand the entire journey of the patient cycle. Okay, I am going to have alternative therapies at my clinic. I'm going to become a therapist to understand the patient problems at a higher level than just being an owner. And I'm going to be able to communicate better with my clinicians. If that was what your journey is going to look like, well, now you have much higher upside. You have much higher upside. You're not looking at the 80 to 82K. You know, at my peak with my clinics, we are bringing in, 1.5 to 1.9 million a year. Okay, all right. So now you're looking at a pretty big upside, and that's just because that's the way that you want to be able to run your business, right? You know, it's kind of like here we have a supermarket in Florida called Publix, right? And a lot of the people that have gone up to higher levels, you know, whether it's store manager or district manager or regional manager at Publix, like they had to start as a bag boy or a bag girl, right? And then they work themselves through all the different kind of ranks, the deli section, the produce section, the bakery section, this, that, da, 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 da. Okay, if your end game is that I want to understand all parts of the job, right, including being the physical therapist, okay, I get it. But you know that on the backside of that, you're going to be making, you're going to be building an asset, okay? You're going to be building clinics. You're going to be building locations, and you just want to really understand the operations on all the different, levels. That's really the only exception that I would give to somebody today to become a traditional physical therapist. Okay, so the last thing is, what are the alternatives? Okay, the alternatives to me is having a way to be able to help clients and not just help them physically. Okay, and not just help them through traditional treatments. Okay, I still think that traditional treatments on its own doesn't make a lot of sense anymore because of the initial investment. But I will say, going online where you're still using your PT knowledge, okay, you're using that, but now instead of just helping someone 1-to-1, now you're helping 1-to-30 or 1-to-50, okay, or 1-to 200, right? And what are some ways that people do that? They do that through workshops, online workshops. Okay. Some people do it through in-person workshops as well. Okay. So in-person or online. All right. But it's a way for you to be able to scale, your impact. All right. They do it through webinars. Okay. They do it through creating membership communities where you're still using your expertise, you're using your knowledge, you are helping people via physical therapy modalities and treatments, but you're doing it in a way where it's either self-treatment for the patient or it's the treatments that you can do with them, you're doing it in a one-to-many format, okay? Honestly, guys, that's it. And I just don't see it adding up anymore. And I think that, or at least my hope is that it will make sense again. But I feel like videos like this are needed so that people can educate themselves on why you really shouldn't do this unless you want the status of saying that you are a doctor. And if that means a lot to you and you're willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars knowing that ROI is not going to come back to you right away, then more power to you. Okay. We all want different things, from life. But when it just comes to creating a life of financial security, financial freedom, this today is more of a life of financial bondage if you're doing this in a traditional format. So anyways, I'm hoping that this video is a start of helping to reset physical therapy school and the investment, and that if there's enough people that stop doing this, schools will be forced to bring down their price and make it make sense again for people. So I hope this video helps you. If it did, go ahead and comment below and let me know that it did. And if you have any questions or there are other videos that you want me to make in the future, please let me know. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.